How's your production on pasture? Are profits down? Are weight gains down? What are you going to do about it? Do something cost-effective. Do something that will make a difference. To add the first and proven leader in feed-through hornfly control to your cattle rations, ask for it by name, Alticid IGR.
Your land is more than a business. It's a heritage that has been passed down from those who tended it before you, by those who shaped it, changed it, and cared for it. Your land has a legacy, one that you carry on, but also one you build on. At Corteva Agriscience, we are the stewards of a lasting legacy. We have a responsibility to Dow AgroSciences, to maintain the relationships and trust they built, and to build upon those foundations, to help you care for your land, to provide innovations that help you protect the hard work and investment you've poured into it, to help you build a legacy that can be passed on for generations to come. Corteva Agriscience.
Ranching is passed down from generation to generation. Know what else gets passed down? The world's finest ranch and rodeo equipment, manufactured by WW Livestock Systems. Ranchers demand quality, and they have come to depend on WW equipment to fulfill their needs, large or small. We invite you to consider WW, made in America, available coast to coast. WW Livestock Systems, the world's finest since 1945.
Good afternoon and welcome back to our next webinar. Our next webinar is going to be brought to us by Elanco Animal Health. As farmers and ranchers, we are very prideful and take pride in the product that we produce. And there is something to be said for that when we get ready to market our cattle. Our next session is going to be producing high health calves that you are proud to sell. It's going to be brought to us by Dr. Mark Hilton with Elanco Animal Health. Dr. Hilton has his BS in animal science and his veterinary medicine degree, both from Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. Dr. Hilton has been the technical consultant for the beef team at Elanco Health since 2016. Prior to that, he was a clinical professor at beef production medicine at Purdue University. 1999 till present, he is one of the 3 authors of Vet's Opinion, a column in the Beef Magazine. Also, he is married to his wife, Denise, for 40 years. They have 2 sons, 2 daughter-in-laws, 3 grandsons, 3 granddaughters, and 1 in gestation. So he knows how to be a proud producer. We'd like to welcome today Dr. Mark Hilton.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm also going to throw in there that I was a private practitioner, a veterinary practitioner in Iowa, and was that for 15 years. So when I started my veterinary career, I was a private practitioner, just like all of you go out and utilize your practitioners, as needed on your herd health. So I've enjoyed all 3 of my parts of veterinary medicine. My focus for my entire 37-year career really has been on helping beef cow-calf producers have a healthier herd and a more profitable business, because it is a business. So appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all today. And so I'm going to ask you some questions right off the bat, because I've never practiced in Texas. I practiced in Iowa and in Indiana. And so I want to know, the first poll question is, are the genetics of your cattle well above average, above average, below, or well above below average compared to the cattle in the United States? So if Tyler can pop that question up on the poll, that would be great. I can't see any results coming in. So Tyler, whenever you think that it's where it needs to be, you can give us the answers.
All right, it looks like we got about 4 votes for above average and 6 votes for average.
Well, boy, that's not many votes. We've got more than 10 people on the call, don't we? So
A couple more rolling in.
okay, we'll wait. We'll give them another second. And Tyler, did I say, is that right, Tyler? All of a sudden my brain says I'm not sure that's the right name.
Yes.
Okay, good. And so what are our answers now?
We got 4 votes for above average, 8 votes for average, and 1 vote for below average.
Okay, very good. So in the average to above average, it looks like on the thing. So very good. So our next question is, which of the following? Oh, okay, I can see the results there. Great, thank you. That's great. Which of the following is your goal for your calves after you sell them? A, you want those calves to have significant health issues. B, you want your calves to have average health issues. Or C, you want your calves to have excellent health and profitability for the feedlot owner after you sell them. What's your goal?
I don't believe I have a poll for that one.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, I'm just going to make an assumption. Is that okay? I'm going to assume most of you said C. So if that's the case, can they come off mute? Can I get any answers for them? Is that a possibility, Tyler?
Yes, we can unmute a couple
Okay.
people and
Yeah.
speak. So
Yeah. I'd like to know why you want your calves to do well for the person that buys them.
share your thoughts.
Yep. Or they can type it in the chat, whatever you want.
Doesn't look like anybody wants to be unmuted.
Well, they're not playing the game well.
Richard Meyer.
It's more fun if they jump in. So
More money.
Go ahead, Richard.
More money.
Because
they're in good shape and they'll bring more.
Yeah. And why is it important for you that the guy that buys your calves to make a bunch of money on your calves?
So he'll come back for more business.
Because he'll remember your calves, won't he? Yeah. You know, our business has to be a win-win situation. The cow-calf producer needs to make money. The backgrounder needs to make money. The feedlot needs to make money. Everybody along the line, because my dad always said, if it's win-lose, somebody's not going to play for very long. And I want people to play the whole time. I always talk to my clients and say, hey, I want this to be a win-win. You know, I want your cattle to have a win. I want you to have a win. And I want to have a win. I want to make money as a veterinarian. You know, I want to have a successful business. So good. Okay. Anybody else? I'd be glad to take another comment if somebody wants to jump in. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. Jana, maybe you can give something special to Richard there.
We do have a couple comments in the Q&A section.
Great. Okay. I can look at those. One says, I think you're muted. Hopefully you can hear me now. To get a better price. Yep. Chat doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even see a chat. I just see the Q&A on the thing. So thanks for that. So I put together what I consider the bronze level, the silver level, and the gold level program for calves. So, and I know all of you don't calve in, you know, February, March, whatever, but I'm just going to use that for the, you know, what I do. Okay. So when these calves are 2 or 3 months of age, that is the ideal time to get some of their first vaccinations into them. They're still on the cow. They're not stressed. You know, they build up good immunity. I know you've read places that they say some vaccines don't work before a calf's 6 months of age, or because they got colostrum, it blocks the immunity. And anytime somebody says that, should have an asterisk next to it, because they do work. They may not work as well as older, but they do enough good that it's worthwhile. So in these calves that are 2 or 3 months of age, walk them through the chute, give everybody a Virus Shield 6. That's a 6-way viral inactivated respiratory. A 7-way blackleg, whatever your company there sells, those products are pretty similar. I like the 2 ml dose products better than the 5 ml products. Nuplura PH is our Pastorilla vaccine, and it's a wonderful product. A lot of the Pastorilla vaccines have a lot of endotoxin in them, and endotoxin is a part of the cell that really causes havoc inside the calf. So we want to minimize the amount of endotoxin, and Nuplura's claim to fame versus the other products that are similar to it on the market is, so we did a research trial against Presponse, and I'm not cutting down Presponse. Presponse is an excellent product, but they looked at the endotoxin level. Nuplura had 35 times less endotoxin than Presponse. If I got a 2 to 3 month old baby, I don't want to put any more endotoxin in that calf. So I want to have the smoothest vaccine I can have. So that's where Nuplura fits in. Clean up to Poron for these calves to take care of the flies, or Silence Ultra. There's numerous other products on the market. Really, really like our fly tags. Corathon, Silence Ultra, Patriot. I've used these tags for about 20 about 20 years. They're just the superior fly tags on the market. Might cost just a little bit more, but my heavens, they're well worth it for those calves. And then something we don't see used nearly enough is an implant on these suckling calves. This component EC with Thailand is an excellent choice for these suckling calves over 45 days of age. Never implant a bull calf that you're going to keep for a bull, but all your steers and your heifers that are over 45 days of age. This implant right here will make you, and I've got a slide on it later, will gain you about 18 pounds. So, somewhere around $20 extra on that calf value by the time he's weaned. Then at weaning time, this bronze level program is going to give another virus shield.
Dr. Hilton,
Yes, please.
sorry to stop you, but there
No.
was a question.
Yeah, that's what I
You made
want.
a comment about a 2 ml dose over a 5 ml dose.
Yes.
There's a question on why you would prefer that.
It's easier on the calves. There's less, and Clostridials do not have endotoxin. I don't know what the correct term is on that. I need to look that back up. I'm sure I knew it sometime. But the 5 ml products, when they've tested them against the 2 ml products, the 2 ml products, those calves have higher weight gains than the 5 ml. And even though the 5 ml are a bit cheaper, hopefully I'm not stepping on a toe, and this group sells mostly the 5 ml. To me, things change. And as I saw your ad for Alticid, right? That product hasn't been on the market forever. So somebody decided, hey, this is a positive product for our producers. And I agree 100%. Love Alticid for the mineral. So to me, it's just the most modern technology. The calf deserves the best. Okay. That's been the foundation of my veterinary career for 37 years. The calf deserves the best we have every day. And the 2 ml products are easier on the calf, and you'll have a higher weaning weight. The tiny bit of cost difference with the 2 ml costing more is easily made up in the weight gain of the calf. So yeah, keep those questions coming. That's the way I like to do a discussion, is have questions as I go along. Cydectin dewormer, these calves have picked up parasites all summer long. And so you need to deworm these calves. High likelihood that they have a parasite load that needs to be taken care of. And I've got here Cydectin injection or pour on, either one. If you're using the Cydectin injection, you also need to pour on for lice control, because the injection doesn't do a good enough job of getting one of the species of lice. So clean up to Silence Ultra, those are our products. Then at weaning time, if you're going to background these calves before you sell them, which I highly recommend because it makes you money 9 years out of 10, is component TEG with Thailand. And I'll show you later how much increased weight gain that has. The other thing, this might be just a silly little thing, but we term the tail switch on all of our calves at weaning time. Keeps that tail clean in the winter time, makes the calves look a little more uniform, and then we cut that fly tag out. You don't want to have a fly tag in the calf during the winter emitting tiny amounts of insecticide leading to some resistance, okay? So that's the bronze level program. So it's a very good program. If you're in the Olympics and you get a bronze medal, it's pretty darn good. The silver level program is the exact same for those calves 2 to 3 months of age. No difference whatsoever. The difference is at weaning time, we're going to use titanium 5. This is a 5-way modified live viral respiratory vaccine. The easiest one of all the 5-way modified live virals on the calves. We have research to show doesn't knock them off on feed. Another product of ours, I started using titanium 5 way before it was an Elanco product. It came out from a company called AgriLabs. It was the first respiratory vaccine that had type 2 BVD in it. And I actually taught the lectures on respiratory diseases for my vet students. So when something new came out, I researched it so that those students would know, what's the newest on the market. And I talked to the technical veterinarian at AgriLabs, and he answered all my questions. I was absolutely convinced that titanium 5 was the way to go versus what we'd used before. Interesting story. So in Iowa, most of my producers were large agricultural businesses 100, 200, 300 cows. And so they pretty much, we would talk to them about vaccine options, but they would choose them. Where I practiced at Purdue in Indiana, most of my clients were more moderate sized producers, 15, 20, 40 cows, something like that. They worked in town and had the cattle and enjoyed their cattle, but they still want to do a great job. But they may not be as much reading about different vaccines and things. So they said to me, they said, Mark, we know you have cows too. Vaccinate ours the same as you do on your own cows. So that's what I did. And so I had a herd, very good herd. The guy was one of my best producers, watched his cattle like a hawk. And I switched him to titanium from the other vaccine that I used to use. And we were out to his farm about a week after we processed the calves into May. He had a cow with a bad foot. And so the students and I were walking toward the chute to look at the cow with the bad foot. And he turned around and he said, hey, what'd you do different to my calves this year? And as a veterinarian, my heart sunk. I thought, oh no, what did I do? I changed vaccines and I didn't tell him. Oh boy, I'm going to get it here. And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean? And he says, my calves didn't look dumpy for 2 days after you vaccinated them this year. And I looked at him, I said, you never told me they looked dumpy for 2 days after we processed your calves. He goes, oh yeah, every year. He says, that's why we always do them on Friday, because he says, I can take Saturday and Sunday, I'm not at work and I can really watch them, make sure everybody's doing okay. And I said, no, I had no idea. He goes, oh, every year. And he says, these calves never missed a beat. He says, what'd you do different? I said, I changed a respiratory vaccine on you. He says, well, don't ever switch back to that other one. I'm like, wow, that's nice to get that kind of a comment. A week later, I'm at Menards. I don't know if you guys have Menards down there, but it's my favorite store in the world, hardware store. And one of my other clients was in Menards and yelled at me, hey, what'd you do different to my calves this year? And I'm thinking, he's going to say something good too. And I said, why? What do you mean? He goes, oh yeah, they didn't. And he said a bad word, look like blank for, 2 or 3 days after we did them. And he had a registered herd, ET, very pampered herd, I'm going to say. And I think those cattle react to vaccines a little more. So, I changed, 70 herds from the one to the other one, but to get 2 unsolicited compliments was pretty darn nice. So love titanium. I've been a fan of titanium for way longer than I've worked for Elanco. Again, everything else on this weaning is the exact same as the bronze level. Now the gold level is 2 doses of titanium. Instead of the virus shield at those calves, April and May, it's using the titanium. Everything else, again, is the exact same on the calves. And so I'm just gonna ask you, what do you think this gold level program on the calves would cost on these calves? This April May time frame. What's that? You're gonna go into producers there and you're gonna buy all your vaccines, your fly tag, your pour-on, your dewormer, implant, etc. What's that gonna cost you per calf? If I can have some Q&A, somebody pop me a guess on how many dollars you're going to be handing your friends there at producers. $20. Thanks, Eric. Good. Anybody else? All right, if anybody else has got a guess, that's fine, or you can unmute or whatever. For this April, May time, $9.22 per calf. Okay, $9.22. That's how much you're gonna invest in that calf's health. Okay, now if we look at the fall program, the day of weaning, again, the gold program is exactly the same as the silver. It's another titanium, and again, these exact same things. So this adds another $5.60. So you're going to be spending about $16 total investment on these calves to give them these vaccinations that I'm asking you to give them, the dewormer, the pour-on for flies, and the implant. Well, you need to get a return out of that. We're not in the charity business. We need to get a return on this investment. Oh, I forgot. Here's the rust level program. It's called Hope for the Best. So no vaccinations, no dewormer, send the bull calves to the sale barn as bulls, and this is what you get. I'm not a fan of hope for the best, because as a veterinarian, I've seen it all. And this is not what I want to see. I want to see excellence. But that little investment that you have helps to prevent those disasters. Again, here's titanium 5. I talked about it before. Smoothest modified live respiratory vaccine on the market. We have research to show no decrease in feed intake. Heck, we even gave it to dairy cows, those stressed out, high producing dairy cows, vaccinated dairy cows, half of them with our titanium 5, the other half got an injection of sterile water. No difference in milk production on those cows. Titanium 5 did not knock milk production. And we've got plenty of studies that say it's just as good as all the other modified lives on the market. So this is my favorite vaccine of Elanco's. I just love it. Here's the Nuplura. This is our new one. This is the newest vaccine technology in all of cattle. There is no other vaccine like it. 35 times less endotoxin. And like I said, endotoxin is a negative on those calves, causes them harm. And so no reason to do that. And calves that have this vaccine are going to do very, very well, comparable to any of the other Pastorella vaccines. Here's ViraShield. This is the killed product that I'm sure a lot of you using on your calves, and it's fine. I think the silver and the bronze level program are good programs. If you want to move up to the gold, I think the titanium is just one notch better than the ViraShield on these young calves. Now on cows, I think ViraShield is the best, and I'll talk about that in a second. Here's Cydectin. Comes two different ways. It comes as an injectable on the cows, or it comes as a pour-on. And not only does it come in the squeeze bottle pour-on, it comes in a big jug with a gun. And I really like the gun on that product. When you're using a pour-on, make sure you get the entire animal. Go from the shoulders clear down to the tail head. Don't just squirt this on their side as they're walking through. We need to get this nice and uniformly applied to the animals. Cleanup 2, according to veterinarians, is the #1 product for lice control on the market. It has not only a knockdown, a pyrethroid, but it also has an insect growth regulator. So this is the only 1-dose lice control product that's on the market. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather not have to walk my cows back through the chute, 3 to 6 weeks later and give them another pour-on for lice. I'd like to treat them just one time. So this is the product that I use on my own cows. I talked about the implants. This doesn't have anything to do with the health. This is profit for you. This is component EC with Thailand, C for calf. So calves under 400 pounds, steers and heifers that are over 45 days of age. When I taught at Purdue, I did ambulatory. So I had students out in the truck every day, and we were preg checking cows, processing calves, looking at bulls, whatever a normal veterinarian does. And I had all the implant guns from all the companies. I didn't work for Elanco. I had them try every different implant gun, and we probably had about 4 or 5 different guns. I would say 90% of the students said they liked the component gun the best. The other thing is it's got a little pellet of Thailand antibiotic here, 28 milligrams of Thailand. That dissolves right off the bat and bathes this area where the implant is. And it really decreases the chance you'll have an infection. And to me, that was really important with my students because they were implanting for the very first time. They were likely to shove some dirt and bacteria into that hole. And if we get an abscess, we're not doing any good on the implant. This is component TEG for grazing calves, growing calves. So this is calves over 400 pounds, steers and heifers. This is absolutely for ones you're not going to keep back for replacements. You can use EC on replacement heifers as long as they're 45 days of age and it doesn't hurt repro. If they're under 45 days of age, you can really hurt the repro rate of that female. TEG just for all steers and for feedlot heifers heading to the feedlot. So here's the slide on the return on investment of this suckling calf. So gain in a 155-day grazing period after you've implanted that calf, the average calf in these trials gained 17 pounds. If I put the price slide on what cattle are worth right now. The price slide is about $1.10. I know cattle are worth more than that, but as cattle get heavier, the price goes down. That's worth $18.70. Did any of you remember how much I said it cost for the entire gold program, the April, May program and the weaning day program? Was it more or less than $18.70? Anybody remember? I'm going to click my Q&A. Yeah, this is more return. So your suckling calf implant just paid for everything that you bought at Producers. So it's like they're giving you all your stuff for free. So an excellent return on investment. Eric, I'm going to answer your question. Can you pour the cleanup too on top of the Cydectin? You should not do that. The Cydectin pour-on does a very good job of controlling lice. So the reason I inject my cows with Cydectin injection and use cleanup too is because the injection does a little better job of getting the internal parasites than the pour-on does. So I want to do a better job with the internals. So I use both the injection of Cydectin and the cleanup. But if you're using Cydectin pour-on, I don't see any reason to spend the money on the cleanup, even though it has the growth regulator in it. We get pretty darn good control with lice on Cydectin. If you've had lice breaks with the Cydectin pour-on, I would first look at how you're putting it on the cow. Are you just squirting them as they walk by and hoping for the best, or are you doing a really good job of putting it down the back line? If you're doing a good job of putting it down the back line and you're still having issues with lice breaks, then I would switch to the injection and use the cleanup too. Okay. And the one person said, sorry, I did not hear the answer. Can you repeat it? So yeah, it was about $16, $15 or $16, as I recall, for that gold level program. So the implants are only used in about 35% of all suckling calves in the United States. Now, what group of cow-calf producers uses suckling implants at greater than 50% rate? It's the really large producers, the ones that understand, hey, this is economics. I can't afford not to do this. I timed our students one time. How long extra did it take them to put an implant in the ear of a calf while we were processing those calves the end of May, 1st of June? So we were already walking them through the chute, giving them their titanium. We were giving them their black leg. We were putting a fly tag in. So I started my timer on my phone when they would grab the implant gun, walk over, put the implant in, walk back over and clean it off. And I did that on about 10 calves at 2 or 3 different locations. And it was about 25 seconds is how long it took. So I sit there and figured up, and I won't get the math exactly correct, but $18.70 gain from 25 seconds, it was about $3,000 an hour. And I don't know about all of you, but I can't think of anything that I can legally do and make $3,000 an hour. It's just insane. And to not put that implant in, it's just, you need that profit. If you've seen ads or testimonials or whatever, oh, don't implant your calves because you'll get more for them at a sale barn. If you have a signed contract to sell non-implanted calves and you're getting somewhere around, what would it take? $30 a 100 more for those calves. So 500-pound calf. No, it'd be more than that. It'd be almost $40 a 100. If you're getting that, great, then do that and don't implant. But if you're hoping for a bonus, it's not going to happen. The research is rock solid that implanted and non-implanted calves bring generally the same price. So we can't afford to leave this money on the table. This is to me an absolute and a reason to walk those calves through the chute in the spring. Now, if you keep your calves for a 120-day backgrounding period, and I know a lot of you aren't going to keep them that long, maybe just 45 days, but the component TEG lasts for 122 days or 120 days, and on average gives a 33-pound gain. I actually looked up prices of Texas feeder cattle a week or two ago, and 792-pound steers were $139.28, 825, $138.77. So here's the total value. So that implant that costs less than $3 returned $41.75. If you background them for even a fourth this amount of time, you're gonna make more than a fourth this, because the implant, you get more of the good right off the bat. So, you know, give them, if you're gonna background those calves for 45 days, get that TEG into them at weaning time. That'll pay you big money. Any questions on the calves? I'm done talking about calves, and I'm gonna talk about cows. I'm gonna pull up the Q&A here. Yep, there's the one on the 2 ml black leg. Thank you. Got that. Okay, any other questions on calves? You can either come off mute or put a Q&A out there. Okay, on cows, the gold level program on the cows, pre-breeding virus shield. Some research came out of South Dakota State that showed using a inactivated product, and actually in this research they used virus shield, had a 6.5% higher first service conception rate and a higher overall conception rate, about 3% through the year of using virus shield versus using in a modified live. So I used to use modified live on my cows pre-breeding, and when this research came out, I switched from using titanium to using virus shield. So here's my rule of thumb. Animals under a year of age, titanium 5. Animals over a year of age, virus shield. Okay? And when I'm talking over a year of age, I'm talking breeding animals. If I've got a feedlot steer that's a year of age, I'm probably not vaccinated for anything. He's probably already had enough. So on my cows, so pre-breeding, I'm going to use Cydectin dewormer, either the injection of the Poron. I'm going to use Cleanup 2 or Silence Ultra, one of the two Poron for flies. And then I'm going to put 2 fly tags in the cows. Very cost effective to put these fly tags in. And again, I've used Corathon and Silence Ultra for about 20 years. They are absolutely the top fly tags on the market. Now, if you don't give pre-breeding injections, if you just want to walk that cow through the chute once a year, that's fine. You can't put fly tags in her at preg check time if you're a spring calving herd. So at preg check time, I'm going to give Cleanup 2, no matter if I did spring or not. I'm gonna back up. So let's say you do this pre-breeding, virus shield, Cydectin, Cleanup, and put 2 fly tags in. Those same cows that got that pre-breeding in the fall, I'm going to give them another Cleanup 2 for their lice control, and I'm going to give them a Scar Boss 9. Notice I'm not giving them an injectable parasite control. Now, I've never practiced in Texas. I would say you need to talk to your herd health veterinarian and say, Doc, do I need to deworm once a year, twice a year, you know, half the cows, all the cows? Because I don't know in Texas. I've never practiced there. I know your environment's very different from ours, so I'm not going to propose to say I know that. So if you didn't give pre-breeding vaccination, you can absolutely give virus shield in the fall at preg check time. You can also use the Cydectin dewormer. I think, you know, for sure the young cows need dewormed once a year. The other thing is bulls should be dewormed once a year, especially yearling bulls. Bulls are actually more susceptible to parasites than cows are. So if there's some young ladies listening, you can say that the bulls are the weaker sex, because they are. Bulls are more susceptible to parasites. So especially your yearling bulls. I actually deworm my yearling bulls twice a year. I deworm them when they go out to pasture to breed, and then I deworm them again after I've pulled them in off of pasture. So this gold level program for the cows is $15.43. That's not much of an investment in a cow, a bred cow that's worth what, $1,500? I'm just going to guess that bred cows are bringing, you know, $1,000, $1,500, or you can hope for the best with the rust level program. And this is my feeble attempt to put a chalk mark of an O on this cow saying open at preg check. Thin, open, and is going to bring a very poor price at slaughter. You know, this cow is an investment in your herd, and just a few vaccinations, deworming, fly and lice control really is wonderful. Scar Boss 9 is the most used scour vaccine in the beef industry. It covers more pathogens than all the other products. Here's a product that I've used, the precursor of this, for over 30 years. This is what I used when I was in veterinary practice in Iowa. To me, this statistic is amazing. 97% of veterinarians who use Scour Boss said it met or exceeded their expectations despite severe weather. Now, I know 97 veterinarians. I know 100. I know hundreds of veterinarians. If I got 100 veterinarians in a room and asked them any question, I would not get 97% of them to agree on anything. So to me, this is pretty impressive. Again, the number one scour prevention in beef cattle. And the reason it covers more pathogens, but the other thing is it's so much more flexible on the dose. The first year you ever use this product, 16 to 8 weeks prior to calving, and I like to be farther. I like to be in that 16 range, use Scour Boss 9. Then 4 weeks, or even a little before that, use Scour Boss 4. There's no reason to spend the money on Scour Boss 9 for the second dose. Scour Boss 4 is about half the price. So use Scour Boss 4. Then after that, cows for the rest of their lives, they only need 1 dose. They never need 2 doses again. 8-10 weeks before calving, get the Scour Boss 9 into the cow. So very flexible product that has lots of use. Okay, so final poll question. Hopefully, Tyler, you have this. After today, I am more likely, less likely, neither more or less likely, or I'm already doing a very good job to prepare my calves for success, fully prepare them for success in the feedlot. So let's see what your poll answers are. How are we doing, Tyler? Are they still awake and answering?
Yes, so far we have 14 saying more likely, 3 already saying I'm already doing a very good job.
And nobody less likely? So I didn't turn anybody off with that humongous cost of 15 for the calf and 15 for the cow. That's an investment. Good. I appreciate that. That was my goal. I grew up on a beef and swine farm. Our vet didn't want my dad to spend any more money than he needed to on his cattle, but he always suggested, what would be better for our herd, and helped us a lot on that. So, use your professionals at producers, your veterinarian, extension educator, somebody that you really trust, and look over that program once a year and say, hey, am I doing a good enough job on my cattle? So to me, it's how to spend a little bit of money and make a lot more money, because I'm a cheapskate. I don't want to spend money unnecessarily. I don't mind spending a little bit to make a lot. So that's all I've got. So I'm super excited to take any questions right now. And that cow right there, that is 218. That's a Gelbvieh cow that I owned for 16 years. And you really should put your hand over your heart, because you're actually getting to view her. It's your honor to be in her presence. Now she's gone. She's been gone for a long time, but my students the first time they met her, they had to put their hand over their heart, because she was the greatest cow to ever eat grass, in my opinion. So everybody's got to have a favorite cow, right?
So it looks like we have a couple questions in the Q&A.
Great.
Take a look at those.
Yes, thank you. Why would you use Cydectin over Eprinex Poron? The reason I would is, and again, Cydectin was a Bayer product. Elanco just bought Bayer. I've used Cydectin injection on my cows for, 15 years, pretty soon after it came out. It is a slightly different class than Eprinex. Eprinex is an avermectin, and Cydectin is a moxidectin. So there's a little less resistance to Cydectin than there is eprinomectin. So that's the reason that I use it. I just think it's slightly better. I also don't think you should deworm every cow that walks through the chute. If you have cows that are, Cows develop resistance to parasites after a while. The goal is not to wipe out all the parasites because that's an impossible goal. It is not going to happen. So the goal is I want this cow to have such a low level of parasites that it's not causing me any economic damage. It's not causing her to have not enough weight gain. It's not causing her to cycle later. It's not causing her to milk less, anything like that. So I'm absolutely going to deworm all my young cows every year. So my cows, you know, my yearling heifers, absolutely. You know, they'll get dewormed this fall as they come off of grass. And actually, no, they got dewormed in the spring. So I do mine in the spring. I switched. I used to deworm them in the fall, and I do them in the spring now. So all my yearling heifers got dewormed in the spring. All my cows under 5 years of age got dewormed. But my cows that are 5 to 10 years of age, that are in excellent body condition score, I skip them because I want them passing non-resistant worms out onto the pasture. So this is a really good question to, you know, sit down with your veterinarian and have a discussion with them. Because again, I don't know your area in Texas. You know, they may be more aggressive and go, no, you can't do that, or we'll have a disaster. But I'm trying to make these drugs work for a lot longer period of time. I don't want to get resistance. But that's the reason I use Cydectin. I used Epernex when it first came out, but when Cydectin came out, I switched. Most of my calves go to the feedlot from my ranch. If the feedlot does not know that I've implanted them, they're going to reimplant that. Is that harmful to the calf? Yes, it is. And that's why I said you need to own that calf for at least 45 days if you're going to put that TEG into them. Because if they're going to put another implant right over the top of it, now we've got a calf that probably has too much implant in his system. So if, Roger, if your calves are going, how long do you background your calves after weaning, or do you background your calves, Roger, after weaning? And if so, how long do you do that? I need to have the answer to that before I answer. You can come off mute and talk or whatever. There's Roger. Hit your little mute button there. Yep, now you're good.
Yeah, I do background them. I usually background them for about 45 to 50 days.
Yeah, so excellent. Good for you, because again, you usually make money doing that. If you have calves that are above average health and above average genetics, you should not sell your calves right off the cow. You should own that calf for another 45 days. I actually did a research trial at Purdue. We had a herd, and for 11 years, we collected all of this producer's financial data. And he averaged 63 days backgrounding his calves, preconditioning them before he sold them. And the average of that 11 years was he made $81 a head. So that was big money. Roger, if you can call, and I see you're off mute, that's good. Call your feedlot and say, hey, I'm going to give them a component TEG the day I wean them. You're going to get them 45 days later. So that way you can wait 45, 50 days before you have to implant them again. Is that good for your system? If they, what would they say if you ask them that? What would you guess?
Well, I'm going through an auction barn, so I don't have contact with the feedlot.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So that's a harder question to answer. If you want to be super conservative, give them another component EC, just the EC with Thailand. Because if somebody else implants on top of that one, that's a low enough dose that it won't be a negative to that calf. It's going to make you a little less money, but remember earlier when I said we need to always do what's best for the calf? That goes back into what's best for the calf. So if I was selling like you are, where you didn't know, then I would use the EC. What you might also do is call the auction market and say, hey, I want to use component TEG with Thailand. That lasts for about, I'm going to say between 90 and 120 days. So let's say the short end, 90 days. Would you announce that if you announce this, Mr. Sale Barn owner, if you announced, hey, these calves were implanted 45 days ago, they're not going to need implanted for another 45 days, would that help those calves sell better? If he said yes, then I would do that. If he said no, I think that would really hurt your price, then I wouldn't do that and I would use the EC. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a really good question, Roger. Should you give your cow herd Virus Shield once or twice a year? Less in most of my situations, I think once a year is enough. Now, if you've never used this before, then you have to give a booster dose. So the label clearly says on Virus Shield, if you've never used the vaccine before, you give the cows, then you give the second dose 4 to 5 weeks later, I think it says on the label. I like to be at least 5 weeks between those two vaccinations. Thereafter, once a year should be absolutely fine. Now, if you're buying cows through the auction market that you know nothing about and you're highly, highly worried about bringing an IBR or BVD to those cows, then I wouldn't have a problem giving it twice a year, spring and fall, even though they've already had their 2-dose vaccination. That's rare. I only had one client when I would practice in Iowa that did that. Everybody else, was either buying cows that they knew about or were saving their own heifers back. These people at producers are very nice people, but I don't want you to give them any more money than you need to. The best way for you to have more money in your back pocket some days is to fold it over and put it right back in. Somebody said, I didn't hear the answer on the blackleg 2 ml versus 5 ml. The 2 ml products are less reactive to the calf. And when they've done studies and given hundreds of calves the 2 ml blackleg and hundreds of calves the 5 ml blackleg, and they weigh these calves, they find out that the calves that got the 2 ml dose have a higher weight after whatever, I don't remember how long the trial was, let's say it was 30 days, 100 days, I don't recall. And those calves weighed more than the calves with the 5 ml dose. So I'm not a fan of the 5 ml dose. Again, if producers sells that, I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but I think that, I'm always going to tell the truth. The 2 ml dose is the better product. Les asked, what's the best time of the year to use Virus Shield if it's once per year? So my smart aleck answer to that is when the cows walk through the chute. The real answer is if you're, that's a good question because there's two answers to this. If you're most worried about IBR and BVD coverage and repro, pre-breeding is the prime time to vaccinate the cows. We also know that giving Virus Shield when the cow is late in pregnancy stimulates some immune function, and we put more immunity to IBR and BVD into the colostrum so that calf nurses more colostrum. So if you've had some issues with baby calves getting pneumonia, then I would use Virus Shield in the fall. For most producers, it's when's it most convenient. If I have a producer that's willing to walk those cows through the chute twice a year, I'm going to use Virus Shield most likely pre-breeding. If a producer says, nope, these cows are going through the chute once a year, no problem, they're going to get Virus Shield at that time. Virus Shield's an inactivated vaccine that you can give at any time to the cow. She can be pregnant, she can be lactating, she can be open, you can give it the day of breeding, whatever you want to do on Virus Shield, it's not a stress to the cow. So it's a very safe product. Glad to answer a few more questions if you have them.
I think that's going to be all the questions that we have, unless there's any more pop up.
Thanks for handling all that, Tyler. You did a great job. I really appreciate that.
Well, we'd like to thank Dr. Hilton for that talk. Animal health is such an integral part to the industry, so we really appreciate his insight and his help with that. If you've got any questions, we can reach out to him, or here at Producers, we can help you with any programs that you want to set up for your cow herd. And just if you have any more additional questions on what you heard specifically today, I'll be more than happy to help with those. So again, thank you, Dr. Hilton, and that'll close.
Thank you.
this session. We've got another one coming up with Scott Campbell with Purina, and he's going to be talking about different horse tubs and how to choose those. Just want to remind y'all, the expo is going on the rest of this week. We'll be open late this evening. Just come